9909. What does that date mean to you watching this video right now? Well, it could mean a lot of things. I know it's a big day for the Beatles. It's a big day for Apple since it's their Apple Music Media event. It's a big day for the movies because the movie 9 comes out, which looks incredible. But to me, yes, even above Apple, this is a bigger deal to me. Today marks the 10-year anniversary of the Sega Dreamcast. Now, I had a big video planned for this. Unfortunately, I wiped out the previous movie file that I had. I had this nice intro with a lot of gameplay footage and everything like that. So this video is not nearly as good as I was hoping it was going to be. But I'm still doing this for you guys. I wanted to show off my accessory collection for the Dreamcast, the games itself, and the actual console itself to give you a brief overview. So without further ado, welcome to 9909 and enjoy. Okay, so to start things off, I'm going to show you guys the actual Sega Dreamcast console itself. I'm going to give you like an overview of the design, the accessories, and everything like that. So, for those of you who are not aware, the Sega Dreamcast was released on 9/9/99, hence the beginning of this video. And as far as I know, it was very successful at its launch. It sold millions of consoles within its first year. But the Sony PlayStation 2 came out the following year and kind of kicked its ass, which is very sad. And I will never forget the day I read on IGN.com that Sega is stopping production of the Dreamcast console. Kind of a stab to my heart since I'm a big Sega fan. And we're fortunate enough to still have Sega around as a third-party company. So they still make the great games for the Xbox 360, PS3, and now the Wii, as well as Game Boy and all those good consoles and handhelds. So right now Sega's not really dead, but a lot did change. Anyway, let me give you a basic overview of the console. It was 128-bit, hence my favorite number. My favorite number is 128, so this is where my favorite number came from. The console did have 4 accessory ports, so it was a big multiplayer console. This is the power button. It's obviously unplugged right now, so the light's not going to go on, but when the console is on, this orange light lights up. And this is how you open it. Yes, it was still like a top-loading kind of console. And right now I have Mortal Kombat Gold in there, which as far as I know got horrible reviews, but I loved it. It was all like all the multiple. It was all the Mortal Kombat games combined into one with tons of fighters. It was pretty cool. So on the side here we got nothing, just white. On the back here we have, yes, a phone jack. The Dreamcast, in my experience, was the first online video game console. It was amazing back at the time of the Dreamcast. It was off a network called SegaNet, and it supported games like Quake 3 Arena, the NFL 2K series, and a big one, Phantasy Star Online, which I'll talk about in a minute, and along with other multiple online games. So yes, that is the phone jack, but if you wanted to put the broadband accessory in, you would take out the actual 56K modem. And there it goes, it just slides right out. And on the side, if you wanted to, you could actually install a broadband modem, which was ahead of the time, which is pretty much ahead of its time back then. As far as I know, the accessory didn't really take off because I don't think that many games supported it. I could be wrong on that, but I just had the regular 56K modem. Then, way in the back here we have the AC in for power, we have AV out for the video, and then the serial port. And we have a fan right there, a fan vent, and another fan vent right there. And on the bottom, not really much, just a serial number, the feet that it's sat on, and stuff like that. So as you can, and by the way, its operating system was Windows CE. So I think that's pretty cool. So as you can probably see, beautiful console, very Apple-like in today's standards. Apple wouldn't really have an opening drive anymore, but then again, you guys, you gotta think, this is back in 1999. So back then, this was ahead of its time for like the third time I'm saying that. But overall, very nice looking console. And then moving on to the actual accessories itself, Here is what the basic Dreamcast controller looked like. This console was definitely a first of its kind. It's very similar to the Xbox 360 controller we use nowadays, along with the original Xbox, where the joystick is on the left, and then we have a D-pad under here, and then we have the 4 face buttons, and then triggers. Very noisy triggers at that. And right here we have 2 slots for accessories. The most popular accessory at first was the VMU, which I believe stood for Visual Memory Unit. This is basically a memory card, but you could play games on here. You could see little graphics. This screen would change depending upon what game you're playing. I believe if you're playing Sonic Adventure, you would see a little Chayo, or Kayo, I have always called them Chayo, on here. You can play little mini games. I believe there was like a Tamagotchi kind of game on here for Sonic Adventure. I could be wrong. This is a while ago. But anyway, we have the D-pad on the front, A and B buttons, and then sleep and mode. Very cool accessory. Then if you wanted to use it within your controller, you would simply plug it into the front, snap into place, and then you would see games or any graphics of any kind on there. And then also we have the jump pack, because back then these controllers did not have rumble built in. So you would need something called the jump pack. This is from the company called Performance. Just like the VMU, it goes in the middle of the controller except in the back slot. Then there you go. And then to release it, you hold down this button and just pull out. So this is very similar to the rumble pack for the N64. Overall, this was a comfortable console. It's not as comfortable as today's controller. I mean, not console, controller. And then we have this little memory card that I bought from GameStop years ago. The VMU tend to fill up very quickly, so this is like 4 memory cards on one. You would press this button on the top to switch between memory cards, and then what card you're on is indicated by the actual light on the face of the unit. Very cool. And then I had a second controller over here, same kind of controller, except on the front of this one is the microphone. Yes, it's a very weird looking microphone. That's because we have the cover over the actual mic. And there is the actual microphone itself. Very cool stuff. This came with a game called CMan, which I actually do have a video about. Search Video Game Recollection CMan, that video is by me. Or if you just go into my videos and search its term CMan, S-E-A-M-A-N, you'll see what kind of game that is, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Then we have the Game Shark. Yes, the good old days of Game Shark. Just like the jump pack, this would plug into the back, and then you would launch into the Game Shark interface via the disc that I have around here somewhere. Moving on, we have a keyboard. Yes, back then, keyboards would use the actual Dreamcast port instead of USB like it does nowadays. This was usually used for chatting in games like Fantasy Star Online, Quake 3 Arena, and NFL 2K. So I did use this a lot. And actually for a game called Typing of the Dead, it was like House of the Dead, but you typed out words to kill zombies instead of shooting guns. I know, it sounds totally stupid, but trust me, it was actually a pretty cool concept. Unfortunately, I never owned the game, but I did, I think I still have the demo somewhere. So let me put this stuff down here. So next up, we have the light guns. Yes. I have actually 2 light guns, because my sister and I used to play House of the Dead 2 a lot, along with Confidential Mission, I think it was called. Yeah, my dad always used to play House of the Dead with me, so this was amazing back in the day. This was like having the actual arcade game in your house. I was blown away back then. But as far as I know, nowadays we do not have any light gun games. So anyway, here's the actual light gun made by the company Interact. It's a very basic setup. You have start and your B buttons on both sides. Depending if you're left-handed, you can press it with your right. Or if you're right-handed, you can press it with your left. Good design. In the middle we have, I guess, IR, normal, and set buttons. I don't know, I never use them. But here's your trigger and your reload button. Or if you want to reload, you simply shoot off the screen. So you keep on shooting, shoot off, reload, shoot, yeah. Many of you probably already know the basic concept of a light gun game. I'm just explaining it for those of you not aware. Then next up, we have one of the best, in my opinion, video game accessories ever invented. It's kind of like a mix of Guitar Hero and Dance Dance Revolution. And that is Samb De Amigo. This game was amazing. I don't know why I did that. Anyway, you have maracas for a game called Samb De Amigo, as I just said. And you would hold the maracas over a mat, such as this one. You pull the actual maracas out. You would hold your maracas over the mat, and these are the sensors, and then it would actually sense the height of the maraca. You would have 3 indicators, top, middle, and bottom. Then you would hold the maraca at the position of what your game would tell you. So this is the mat. As I said, it's very similar to DDR, except for its maracas. So very cool accessory. The game did support playing it with the basic controller, but where's the fun in that, right? So, yeah, that is Samb De Amigo. On to my actual game collection. Alright, this should be fun. I have a pretty good game collection in my opinion. However, disclaimer, one big game I never actually owned but I used to rent all the time was Soul Calibur. So, don't stone me or anything, I do not have Soul Calibur. I know that's bad as a Dreamcast owner. Believe me, I know, because that game was... That was like the game to own, and it was amazing. The fight mechanics, the graphics, everything about it was amazing. But overall, I think I have a pretty good collection, so I'm going to go through each game, take my time with each one of them, and give you some basic comments. So first up, as I pointed out in the beginning of this video, was SegaNet. This is the disk you use to install the software. And one thing I did not mention is the Dreamcast did indeed have a built-in web browser via this disk. How cool is that? So in a way, the Dreamcast kind of inspired the consoles that we have today. For instance, the PS3 and the Wii have built-in web browsers. So in a way, we do have the Dreamcast to thank for that. This was the first demo disc that came with the Dreamcast. I will never forget how blown away I was when I first played Ready to Rumble Boxing. The graphics were amazing. The skin would actually stretch. The graphics were awesome, the sound was cool, the presentation, I've never had so much fun with a boxing game before. Then we have House of the Dead 2, Sonic Adventure, which I own, Power Stone, which I own, and yeah. And then we have Monaco, I guess that's how you say it, Grand Prix, Sega Bass Fishing, which I never really got into, Champ Car Racing, Flag to Flag, and more. This was the disc that came with Dreamcast. Awesome times. Also mentioned earlier in this video is my GameShark CDX. What is this? There's 2 discs in here. Does anybody actually remember this? Awesome times. Utopia Boot CD. This is basically used for pirating games back then or doing illegal things with your console. I'm not really afraid to say it, but I did try things back then, but I was never successful. This is back in '99 and 2000, guys. I've changed in terms of my ethics and software piracy, but it was a cool moment, even though I never got it working. But in theory, it was cool. Then we have the GameShark CDX. That was a disc used to cheat in your games and hack and stuff like that. Good times. I'm not going to go through each Dreamcast disc I have, but I will point out some that stand out amongst others. Here's Web Browser 2.0. It was a newer web browser. What else? Dead or Alive 2 demo was on here. Good times. Then we have Sega Swirl. Why does that sound familiar? I do not know what that is, but I will search that after this video. Shenmue. Hello. Amazing. Rayman was awesome. I actually remember this. What was... Oh. MDK2. Does anybody actually recall playing that? Good times. Slave Zero. Recall that one? Good times. Alright, so those are my demos. I mentioned this earlier, but this is Mortal Kombat Gold. The greatest Mortal Kombat ever, as it says at the top. It had, packed with the code, secret characters, other tantalizing hidden features that only Mortal Kombat can offer. 20 fighters, including Classic Warriors, Katana, Molina, Cyrax, Kung Lao, and Baraka. God, I love Baraka. Then 13 interactive fighting arenas. Awesome times. Toy Commander. Great game. It had 35 different vehicles, 50 missions with multiple objectives, deathmatch mode, 3 distinct ways to play, and up to 4 player screen action. There's a look at the back of it. Good times. Vigilante 8, Second Offense. This is very much like Twisted Metal, but in my opinion, Twisted Metal is much better. But this game did do a good job at holding up to the Twisted Metal series. Tokyo Extreme Racer. Gotta be honest, I don't know why I have this game. I never really got into this series. I believe there was a sequel, but I never got around to playing it. Here we go. Caution. Well, it's just called CMan, but the sign says Caution CMan. This is CMan. This game was amazing back then. Yes, I admit it gets kind of boring now and then, but basically what it was is you raise these little seamen. No sex jokes, please. But really, they were called little seamen. And then they would actually grow up to be a seaman. But on average, as far as I recall, you only had one seaman in the end because all the others would either die off or do whatever. But anyway, this was a voice-activated game, so you did indeed use the microphone to talk to your seaman. He would actually learn who you are. He would learn your name, your age, your birthday, whether you were married or had a girlfriend or a boyfriend or anything like that. It was a really cool game. Basically, it was like a real fish, but one that will talk to you. After this video, go on YouTube, search CMan. You guys will not probably be blown away by this, but if it was 99 or 2000 back when this game came out, you would be amazed back then. I'm still hoping for a sequel, but I really don't see one happening because I don't think sales were that good. Crazy Taxi. It's my little Crazy Taxi figure here I have. So much dust on it because it's always sitting up there. But there you go. Good times with Crazy Taxi. Hopefully many of you have heard of this game or at least played it or anything like that because this was a great arcade game back in the day. And it still is. And yes, I realize I'm very excited in this game, but you guys, in this video, but you guys gotta understand, this was a breakthrough in the world of video games back then. Yes, it flopped, but we have the Dreamcast to thank for some of the successful games we have today. This next one, you guys may want to slap me or shoot me or throw me out the window for this one, but I never actually finished this, and it is Shenmue. This game stood above many of the games ever released, like in the history of video games. This game had a great storyline, great characters. You would actually feel like emotions with these characters because it was so in-depth. And it was so big that, yep, it had 3 discs and the 4th for Passport, which included extras. This is the Passport book it came with. And stuff like that. You would have access to the theater, music, to watch videos and stuff like that. Very cool. And yes, I never beat it, as I said. I think I got stuck at this one part, I'm not sure. D2. This game definitely stood out from the rest as well because it was so creepy and violent. Like, you had this one part where this chick is like, this tentacle or whatever goes down her throat and she's like suffocating. Cool times, guys. Cool times. Unfortunately, the actual gameplay kind of sucked. The shooting was weird. The way... what was her name? Lara? Yeah, Lara. Lara ran kind of weird. On the back, we can see the shooting gameplay, and the cinematics were amazing back then. This next game is a sequel to the original that I never owned, and that is Power Stone 2. This is kind of like Super Smash Brothers nowadays, but this, I mean, I'm not going to say it was better, because Melee and Brawl and all that is better nowadays, but Power Stone 2 was the multiplayer fighting game back then, at least in my experience and opinion. Basically, it was very much like Smash Brothers, like I just said, in the sense that you relied on the environment and things like that to fight your opponent. So, cool stuff. This game had me so excited back in the day because I was blown away by the cinematics, but I played this a couple weeks ago to relive my memories. Quite honestly, the game is pretty bad. The voice acting is horrible. You'd think the original Resident Evil voice acting is bad, or Sonic Adventure. That voice acting is also horrible. Blue Stinger, cool game, but the voice acting was terrible. The accessories were very cheap. But the concept and the gameplay was actually kind of cool. And yes, I never finished that one either. But overall, cool game. It just, by today's standards, it looks pretty pathetic. But yeah, there was never an sequel. So what does that tell you? At least I don't think there was a sequel. So if you want to correct me, correct me. But as far as I know, there was no sequel. NFL 2K1, another game that blew me away back then. Check out these graphics. These graphics back then were mind-blowing. This tore up the PlayStation and the Madden series. Unfortunately, EA was greedy and purchased the NFL license a few years ago. And so Sega kind of stopped with their NFL games for a while, and then we had the ESPN series. But in my opinion, nothing beats the NFL 2K series. This is even better than Madden. I mean, I'm not a huge football player, but actually a huge football fan, I should say. But I do believe the NFL 2K series was better. And yes, this game was online, so we used the keyboard to chat with our opponents. Sonic Adventure was the first Sega game. I mean, the first Dreamcast game I ever owned. This was Sonic's step into the 3D realm, not counting Sonic 3D and all those crappy games before this. But this is like a true next-gen Sonic game. Not the greatest Sonic game because the controls were kind of wacky and the voice acting was bad. But then again, voice acting doesn't make a game. But overall, the gameplay was very fun and you played as all the different characters, which was fun. Samb De Amigo, I already explained what this was. Basically the DDR of back then, mixed in with the Guitar Hero. Instead you would use the mat and maracas. This game is a classic. Resident Evil Code Veronica. Back then, and by today's standards, these graphics are still pretty good. You played as Claire, my favorite Resident Evil character besides Leon. Claire is my #1 favorite character. Besides Jill. Actually, I like all the characters. I just tend to like Jill and Claire the most. I don't know why. Actually, I like Claire a lot because of Resident Evil 2. That is my favorite Resident Evil game. This is probably my second favorite Resident Evil game, but yes. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Next up, we have the sequel to Crazy Taxi, and that is Crazy Taxi 2. It's basically more the same gameplay, but more refined, better gameplay, more fun, and better overall. This game was not online, I believe. It should have been online. I don't know why it wasn't. I guess Sega didn't want to take the time. I don't know. Rayman 2. Awesome game. Don't really have much to say about Rayman except it was a great platformer. The graphics back then were very sharp for a console. Like the anti-aliasing. I can never say that right. Was very good for a console. Speed Devils. Very cool game. This game was your basic racing game, except it was mixed in with disasters such as a tornado, a T-Rex attacking you, and stuff like that. And it was online, as far as I know. Let me see. Maybe it wasn't on. I could have sworn it was online. Hold on, I forget. Actually, I think you could just download new tracks. Not really sure. It's been a while. NFL Blitz 2000 by Midway. Guys, what happened to the NFL Blitz series? They might still be around, but I haven't seen one in like a couple years at least. But if you know of one, please post in the comment section or email me or anything like that. Anyway, NFL Blitz back then was awesome. Good times. Confidential Mission. This game wasn't that great, but it did use the light gun. Yeah, nothing really to say about that. 18-Wheeler. This was another arcade game brought to like the comfort of your own home. This is made by Sega. Basically, you would have to do these missions in an 18-wheeler, hence the title. Good times. Rippin' Riders. Not a very good game in my opinion. It wasn't that exciting. You may disagree, but this game's not as cool as, for instance, say Cool Borders or SSX or anything like that. SSX is such a good series. But that's for the PS2. So, getting back on track. Atari Anniversary Collection, or Edition rather. Didn't really play this game that much. This is more of a game for my parents to play, since they're into the classics. As am I, but still. I found the Confidential Mission CD in there for some reason. So let's put that away. Then put the Atari back. Sorry about that. Now let's get those done. Hydro Thunder, another arcade game brought to the comfort of your home. This game was amazing back then. Yes, I'm using the word amazing again a lot because you guys, like I said, I'm very passionate for the Dreamcast. It was one of the best consoles ever. Back then, these graphics were mind-blowing. The water effects were so cool. You know, I'm going to save this next game for last. This next one. Alright. Quake 3 Arena. This is my first online Quake game I've ever played, as far as I can recall. This game did use the keyboard, so if you wanted to use a keyboard for control, you can. And this game did support the broadband adapter. Good times. Oh, by the way, I tried playing this like 2 weeks ago up here. The controls suck. I don't know how I functioned without 2 sticks. Alien Front Online. Apparently I bought it pre-owned. This game wasn't that great. This used the microphone that came with CMan, but this also came with another microphone, which is why I have 2. But in my opinion, the gameplay wasn't that great. It felt kind of rushed. Here's another web browser disc. I have like 4 of these discs. House of the Dead 2. Amazing. Another arcade game brought to your home. Good times. Alright, let me push that away. This next game I'm about to talk about was a game-changing game, if that makes sense. This game was the World of Warcraft back then, and that is Phantasy Star Online. There was no better game back then. And I'm sure many of you can agree with me. It's hot in here. This game was amazing back then. Although it comes with 2 discs. What is the second disc? I forget. Let me open this. Huh. There is no second disc. I don't know what it came with. Oh, Sonic Adventure 2 demo. That's right. Anyway, back then, guys, this game was amazing. I spent countless hours late into the night, like all day and everything like that, playing Phantasy Star Online. This is back when MMOs were free. Oh, I should explain what Phantasy Star Online was. It was basically like World of Warcraft, as I mentioned, but more stripped down. It's not nearly as in-depth as WoW is today. It's not nearly as popular, obviously. But back then, Phantasy Star Online was like not the first of its kind. Well, maybe it was the first of its kind for a console. I cannot stress enough how cool this game was. I'm sure many of you will agree with me in the comments. This game kept me busy for hours. There were so many missions to do. You could type with the keyboard with these little emoticons you would make up. I just can't express it enough. Phantasy Star Online back then was the best game of all time, besides Soul Calibur and Shenmue. So there you have it. This video was probably highly unorganized, but I'm not really looking for an organized video. I'm just looking to share my thoughts with the Dreamcast. So there you go, guys. That is a Sega Dreamcast, a console that we will never forget. You know, it's really a shame that this console didn't make it, because I don't know. I basically said all I want to say. As you guys can probably tell, I'm very passionate about the Dreamcast and everything representing it. It was a fantastic console. So there you go, guys. I talked way too much. This video is easily going to be probably over 20 minutes. I don't know. We'll see. The length doesn't really matter, because this is like a once-in-a-lifetime kind of video. 9909, guys. 10-year anniversary of the Dreamcast. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. Follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/thecreativeone, and check out my website at thecreativeone.tv. And that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. And don't forget, it's thinking. Yes, it's still thinking.